Hi there. With autumn now here, the leaves are beginning to change colour and fall to the ground. So I've read some more cosy autumn fairy tales about the arrival of autumn and fall. Firstly, you'll hear the legend of the willow tree. This Japanese legend tells of a proud bamboo tree that refuses to help a delicate young vine, while a kind old willow tree offers shelter and support. Then you'll hear Mrs. Bunny's dinner party. This story is about Mr. and Mrs. Bobtail, who set out across autumn fields filled with nuts and harvest foods to attend Mrs. Bunny's dinner party at Bramble Hollow. Then you'll hear a story about a medieval knight's herald to personify the arrival of frost before winter. Trees, flowers, and farmers all respond in their own way, either bravely shedding leaves or preparing harvests and homes. And I've also included a couple of poems too. Please let me know in the comments what you think and if you'd like to hear more. I'm Christopher Fitton, and this is Sleep Cave, and let's begin. A Legend of the Willow Tree, a Japanese legend retold. Once upon a time, a humble willow tree with gnarled and twisted branches grew near a tall and stately companion called the bamboo tree. Many people who passed by stopped to admire the shapely bamboo, but no one seemed to notice the old willow tree. One morning, when the sun shone brightly after a soft rain, a timid little plant with a delicate stem sprang up between the two trees and looked pleadingly towards the straight, strong trunk of the bamboo. But the bamboo tossed her plumy foliage and said haughtily, "Do not look at me for help. I cannot let you cling around my trunk. Let me take hold of you until I grow a little stronger," begged the little plant. But the bamboo drew away and said, "Keep away. I cannot allow you to cling to my beautiful branches." Then the kind old willow tree whispered through her leaves, "Do not be discouraged, little one. The sun is shining, and the soft rain will come to refresh you. Come to me if you like, and grip your little green fingers into my bark. Do not be afraid. In the shade of my branches, you will be protected. Come." The tiny plant still looked longingly toward the handsome bamboo, but at last she crept over the grass to the old willow and began to twine around the sheltering branches. Up, the slender vine climbed to the very top of the tree. There it tossed out so many lovely green shoots that the people who passed stopped to enjoy its beauty. And when the early fall days came, large birds appeared on the vine. The bamboo looked at the swelling birds and said, "I wonder what those ugly knobs on the vine mean. Perhaps she has brought some disease which may affect all the trees of the country." The willow made no answer to the bamboo, but in her kindly way she whispered to the vine, "Do not feel hurt. I know what the swelling buds mean." There was a gentle rain at night, and in the morning, the sun shone radiantly in a clear sky. The green buds, which covered the vine, burst forth into beautiful, sweet-scented blossoms. From crown to foot, the old willow tree stood bedecked with glorious colour. The owner of the land called his friends to see the wonder. They looked in amazement at the richly coloured blossoms. Then the master called his labourers and told them to clear a space about the willow tree. Cut down the bamboo tree, that we may see the beauty of the vine, said the master. It is a very fine bamboo tree, master, said the head servant. Yes, it is, indeed, declared the master, but there are many other bamboo trees, equally fine, whereas no one has ever seen a vine with such a wealth of lovely blossoms. So the labourers cut down the haughty bamboo tree and left the willow and the flowering vine to be admired by many, many people. Mrs. Bunny's dinner party. Are you ready, my dear? Said Mr. Bobtail, looking at his large watch. Mrs. Bunny would expect us to come in good time to her dinner party. I shall be ready in a few minutes, Mr. Bobtail. I wonder how many are invited. We always meet fine people at Mrs. Bunny's house. Mrs. Bobtail brought out her little grey silk bonnet and Mr. Bobtail's best birch cane. Come, she said, it is a good half-hour's walk to Bramble Hollow. Shall we go around by the way of Cabbage Patch Lane? Oh no, my dear, let us take a short cut through the meadow, said Mr. Bobtail. Off they started, arm in arm, across the sunlit fields. See, there are Mr. and Mrs. Frisk gathering nuts, said Mr. Bobtail. Jack Frost shook the trees last night. They are plenty lying on the ground. Good morning. How are all the little Friskies? Called Mrs. Bobtail. Oh, how do you do? They are quite well, thank you, said Mrs. Frisk. The nuts are fine this fall, Mr. Frisk, said Mr. Bobtail, shaking hands with his friend. Yes, indeed, we have gathered a great many for our winter store. But you see, we dare not stop long in this open field. Mr. Frisk dropped his voice and glanced about in all directions. Then he added, This is hunting season, you know. What? Do you mean you are afraid of hunters? Asked Mr. Bobtail in surprise. Indeed we are, said Mrs. Frisk, coming a little nearer. From our cosy home up in the hollow of this tree, we saw 2 hunters crossing the field this morning. When their dogs sniffed about the ground and barked at the tree, we held our breath in fear. Yes, added Mr. Frisk. In a short time, we heard bang bang. I tell you, we didn't venture down to gather nuts for several hours. How dreadful! And we are on our way to Mrs. Bunny's dinner party, said Mrs. Bobtail, looking in all directions. Do you think we'd better go on, my dear? Of course, of course. I've never had the least fear of a gun. Let hunters bang away as much as they please. They never frighten me." Mr. Bobtail straightened up as he spoke and tossed back his head. "How dreadful! And we are on our way to Mrs. Bunny's dinner party," said Mrs. Bobtail, looking in all directions. "Do you think we'd better go on, my dear?" Of course. I've never had the least fear of a gun. Let hunters bang away as much as they please. They will never frighten me." Mr. Bobtail straightened up as he spoke and tossed back his head. "Come, Mrs. Bobtail. Good day, my friends." "Good day. We hope you will have a pleasant time," said Mr. Frisk. "Isn't Mr. Bobtail wonderfully brave?" said Mrs. Frisk, looking after her friends. When they came near Bramble Hollow, Mr. and Mrs. Bobtail met some of their friends. There was Mr. and Mrs. Pinkeye, Mr. and Mrs. Longears, Mr. and Mrs. Cottontail, all their way to the dinner party. Mr. and Mrs. Bunny were waiting for their guests, but the little bunnies had been told how to behave. "Now, my dears," their mother had said, "you may play out of doors while we are at the kitchen. When we have finished, I'll call you. Now, no matter how hungry you are, don't dare peep in at the windows, and if anything happens to frighten you, slip into the kitchen and wait there quietly until I come." Away scampered 4 happy little bunnies. At noon, all the guests had reached Bramble Hollow. Mr. and Mrs. Bunny welcomed them, and in a little while all were seated around the table, laughing and talking merrily. "What a fine salad this is, Mrs. Bunny," said Mrs. Longears. "The cabbage hearts are very sweet this fall." Mrs. Bunny nodded pleasantly and said, "Do have some lettuce. Mr. Bobtail, I'm sure your long walk must have made you hungry." "I hope you like our carrots," said Mr. Bunny, helping himself to another. "Come, Mrs. Cottontail, let me help you to another serving of turnip tops." "Thank you, Mr. Bunny. What a pleasant home you have here in Bramble Hollow. Do hunters ever wander into this quiet corner?" "Well, yes, they stroll through the hollow sometimes." "Dear me," said Mrs. Cottontail. "Our friends, Mr. and Mrs. Frisk, were telling us that they saw 2 hunters crossing the fields this morning," said Mrs. Bobtail. "This morning?" cried some of the guests, pricking up their ears. Come, my friends," said Mr. Bobtail, laughing. "I see I shall have to quiet you. I could never see why so many rabbits are afraid of a gun. I have often stayed quietly under a hedge while a hunter fired shots as near to me as—" Bang, bang, bang. There were a few gunshots. 4 little bunnies leaped through the window and jumped right over the table, upsetting many of the dishes. Mr. Bobtail darted off his chair at the same time and rushed to the corner of the kitchen, where he stayed, shaking with fear. The other guests did not move or speak for several minutes. Then Mrs. Bunny caught sight of Mr. Bobtail in the corner. "Come out, Mr. Bobtail," she called. "I'm sure the hunters have gone into the next field." Winter's Herald. In the days of chivalry, mail-clad knights, armed with shield and spear, rode through the land to defend the right, to punish the wrong. Whenever they were to meet each other in battle at the great tournaments, a herald was first sent to announce the fight and give fair warning to the opponents, that each might be in all things prepared to meet the other, and defend or attack wisely and upon his guard. So, dear children, you must know that Winter, who was coming, clad in his icy armour, with his spear, the keen sleet, sends before him a herald, that we may not be all unprepared for his approach. It is an autumn night when this herald comes. All the warm September noons have slipped away, and the red October sunsets are almost gone. Still the afternoon light, shining through the two maples, cast a crimson and yellow glow on the white wall of my little room, and on the paths is a delicate carpet of spotted leaves over the brown groundwork. It is past midnight when the herald is called, and although his night is so fierce, loud and blustering, he moves noiselessly forth and carries his warning to all the country round. Through the little birch he comes, and whispers a single word to the golden leaves that are hanging so slightly on the slender boughs. One little shiver goes through them, sends them fluttering all to the ground, and the next morning their brown, shriveled edges tell a sad story. Through the birch wood he hurries, and on to the bank of the brook that runs through the long valley, for the muskrat, who has his home under the shelving bank, must hear the news and make haste to arrange his hole with winter comforts before the brook is frozen. While he crosses the meadow, the field mouse and the mole hear his warning and lay their heads together to see what is best to be done. Indeed, the mole, who himself can scarcely see at all, is always of opinion that two heads are better than one in most cases. Beyond the brook is Farmer Thompson's field of squashes. "I will not hurt you tonight," says the herald as he creeps among them. "Only a little nip here and a bite there, that the farmer may see tomorrow morning that is time to take you into the barn." The turnips stand only on the other side of the fence, and cannot fail to know also that the herald has come. But in Lucy's flower garden are the heliotropes and fuchsias, tea roses and geraniums, delicate, sensitive things who cannot bear a cold word. It must have been really quite terrible what he said there, for before sunrise the beautiful plants hung back and withered, and no care from their mistress, nor smiles or kind words, could make them look up again. The ivy had borne it bravely, and only showed on his lower leaves, which lay among the grass, a frosty fringe where the dew used to hang. My two maples heard the summons and threw off their gay dresses, which withered and faded as they fell in heaps on the sidewalk. The next morning, children going to school scuffed ankle deep among them and laughed with delight. And the maples bravely answered the herald. Now let them come, your night of the north wind and the storm and the sleet. We have dropped the gay leaves which he might have torn from us. Let him come, we have nothing to lose. His snows will only bring our roots the warmer, and his winds cannot blow away the tiny new buds which we cherish, thickly wrapped from the cold, to make new leaves in the spring. And the elm, and the linden, and the horse chestnut sent also a brave answer back to the herald. Over the whole village green went the whisperer, leaving behind him a white network among the grass, and before the sun was up, to tangle his beams in its meshes, and pull it to pieces. Old Widow Blake had seen it from her cottage window, and said to herself, "Well, winter is coming. I must set up some warm socks for the boys today, and begin little Tommy's mittens before the week is out." And Father Thompson stands at his great barn door, while yet the eastern sky is red, and tells Jake and Ben that the squashes and pumpkins and turnips must all be housed in cellar and barn before night, for a frost like this is warning enough to any man to begin to prepare for winter. Mr. Winslow the gardener is working all day with matting and straw, tying up and packing warmly his tender shrubs and trees, and the climbing rose that is trained against the west end of the piazza must be made safe from the cold winds that will soon be creeping round there. What will your mother do when she sees the white message that the herald has left in his frosty writing all over the lawn? Will she put away the muslin frocks and little pink or blue calicoes and ginghams, the straw hats, and Frank's white trousers and summer jackets, just as the trees threw aside their summer leaves? Not quite like the trees, for your clothes can't be made new every spring out of the brown buds, but must be put away in the great drawers and trunks of the clothes press to wait for you through the winter. And see how your mother will bring out the woolen stockings, warm hoods and caps, mittens, cloaks, and plaited dresses, and try on and make over, that all things may be ready. For it is with such things as these that she arms her little boys and girls to meet the night who is coming with north wind and storm. Old Margaret, who lives in the little brown house down at the corner, although she cannot read a word from a book, reads the herald's message as well as your mother can. But here are her 5 boys, barefooted and ragged, ever in summer clothes, and her husband lies back with a fever. She can't send back so brave an answer as your mother does. But your mother and Cousin George's mother and Uncle James can help her to make a good, brave answer. For here is Frank's last winter's jacket, quite too small for him, just right for little Jim, and Father's old overcoat will make warm little ones for 2 of the other boys. And here are stout new shoes, and woolen socks, and comfortable bedclothes for the sick man. Margaret sends a brave answer now, although this morning she was half ready to cry when she saw the message that Winter had sent. Look about you, children, when the herald comes and sees what answers the people are giving him. I have told you a few. You can tell me many if you will, before another year goes by.